What?
What?
What the hell is this?
Harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Give the governor harumph.
Harumph. You watch your ass.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
Let the show begin.
Hey everybody, this is David Heretic coming at you with another edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. And tonight, alright, going back to Aldious. Yes, indeed, Aldious Fans FEELIN YOU. Come on now. Here we go. Before we go any further, for those of you who are feeling inclined to doing all of the clicks and the likes and the bibbidi-bibbidi bop, do me a favor, before you do all that stuff, please watch the whole video first, okay? Give me a chance to actually earn those clicks and likes. Now, after the video's done, still feel like doing all those clicks and likes, then by all means, feel free to click away. This comes as a request from Greg Garvin, and Greg wanted to see me react to this song by Aldious called Yozakura. Now, have I heard this song before? No, I have not. To the best of my knowledge, this does not resonate with me in any way, shape, or form. However, there's always a possibility I may have heard the song in passing and I just don't realize it. So as always, if I start listening to the song and I suddenly go, wait a second, I recognize this song, I'll let you know.
That's the truth.
You know me, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Let's see, this was posted by Aldious Official, all right? And the video has 683,000 views. It'll get you there. Other than that, there's really nothing else left to say. Link to the original video will be down below in the video description for your viewing pleasure at your leisure. Let's get started. What do you say? Are you ready? Are you ready? Because here we go. All right, here we go. Aldious. I don't know what that says. I don't know what that says either. Live 2018 from Aldious Tour 2018. We are live at Liquid Room. All one word. There you go. Hopefully we're in the right place here. Look, this is the link that Greg gave me, okay? So if we're not in the right place, don't blame me. Blame Greg. It's his link. So there you go. All right, let's do this.
All right, boy, let's do this.
Okay. Seven. So it's not exact. It doesn't flip exactly. I thought I heard it the first time through the chorus and I wasn't 100% sure. Now I've got it. So the chorus, there's two halves to the chorus. So the first half, root down to the 6, up to the 7, up to the 3, to the 2, to the root, to the 6, to the 7, stay on the 7, and then it feels like you're going to repeat the same thing, but there's a little difference. Root to the 6 to the 7 to the 3 to the 5 to the 6. Stay on the 6, then go to the 7 and stay there. Transition back to the root again. I like that. I like that. It follows a very similar pattern, but not exact. There's some differences, but the outline basically follows itself, but it's not perfect. I like it. I like the fact that there's that little variance. It catches your attention. It keeps you engaged as the listener. It keeps even a passing fancy listener, someone who's just casually listening. Even to them, it's going to get their attention. It's going to be like, whoa. That doesn't sound like the first half. Wait, what was that? You know what I mean? So it's smart songwriting. It's very smart songwriting because it gets the listeners engaged, whether they're diehard fans or just casual listeners. It doesn't matter. It's going to have the same effect. I think that's very, very smart. Musicianship, I've said it before. I'll say it again. These ladies are very talented. They all know how to play their instruments very well, and it shows. You know, it absolutely does. I expect that from them. You know, I know that sounds kind of cold-blooded, but that's reality. Is, you know, I've seen these ladies enough on this channel to know what they're capable of. I've heard them do all this before. Expectations are being met. You know, absolutely. Expectations are here, and they're being met. Are they being exceeded? No, they're not being exceeded, but they're being met. That's like playing par golf. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with hitting for par. Trust me, it's a lot harder than it sounds. No, they're doing fine. They're doing just fine. I have no complaints. I'm just gonna say though, those of you that are expecting a 9, no, that ain't gonna happen. 8s maybe. 8s are possible. Low, possibly mid 8s. Yeah, we're heading in that right direction. So. I don't see this being any lower than a 7, though. Honestly, I don't see this going into the 6s or 5s. It's either going to be in the 7s or in the 8s somewhere, more than likely, unless something drastic happens, good or bad. You know, we're only a minute and 51 in. We still got over 4 minutes to go, so a lot can happen. Okay, maybe they will do something that blows my mind. Maybe they will do something that really impresses me and just goes beyond all expectation. And then that's another story. On the flip side, maybe they'll do something that's very disappointing. Maybe they'll do something that just is out. I can't imagine this, but they might do something that's absolutely horrible, at which point their score's going to tank a bit. So anything can happen in 4 minutes, guys. I mean, seriously, anything can happen in 10 seconds on this channel. All it takes is 10 seconds to change the entire storyline. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Just really quick, I want everybody to remember this. I want everybody to remember right here. I want everybody to remember this picture, okay? And I want you all to remember the next 10 seconds. Okay, everybody remember that. Everybody remember what you just saw and what you just heard, okay? Everybody remember that, and it's going to be important later on. I promise you. do that halftime again? I hope we do. Nice. I like it. Great time. Okay. Oh yeah, the big rock and roll ending. Let them have it. Yeah. The water spit. Yeah, the old water spit doing her best Triple H impression. I like that. Very nice. There's not a lot to talk about. There's only a couple of things I wanted to discuss, but those couple of things, I have a feeling that we're going to be getting into a discussion. We're going to be discussing them at length. So I hate to say it, folks, but something tells me this is not going to be a short review. So y'all might want to get a snack. Y'all might want to get comfortable because something tells me we're going to be here for a while. Let me get my thoughts together. I'll do my best to compress it as much as I can. And I'll see you in the review, and we'll talk about it. Well, there you go, folks. That was Aldious with Yozakura. This was a request from Greg Garvin. Okay, I did everything I could to compress as much as I can, guys, but I hope you got something to drink, and I hope you got something to snack on, because something tells me we're going to be here for a little while, at least 10 minutes, probably longer. So get comfortable. Let's start with the score, and we'll go from there. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give that overall presentation an 8.5. Yep, 8.5. I feel good about that score. Let me tell you why.
Why?
Okay, first things first, an 8.5. What does that mean? Well, an 8.5 would translate to a great scale rating because overall, I think this was a great presentation. This would also get 4 to 5 stars and an A- letter grade. Yeah, an A-. So there you go, an 8.5, great skill rating, 4 to 5 stars, and an A- letter grade. Now, how did I come up with that score? Ha ha ha! So glad you asked. Okay, I'm just gonna say it outright. Expectation was met for the most part, okay? For the most part, everything was about what I was expecting. Musicianship, top-notch as always, okay? Songwriting, more than adequately thought out and done well written and well arranged. Live show, again, expectations absolutely met. Yes, without question. Everything across the board, here's the expectation. It was at least this. There was nothing that happened here that was under expectation, okay? The songwriting, if I'm being honest, okay, it don't get me wrong, it's a really nice song. It is. But if I'm being honest, it's one of the simplest written songs I think I've ever heard from them. This song was not complex in any way. When I'm talking about songwriting, I am not talking about the guitar solos, okay? I know I'll say it's simple and everybody's like, oh yeah, well, let's see you play that guitar solo. I'm not talking about the guitar solos. Guitar solos are a completely separate thing. I'm talking about the chordal progressions. I'm talking about the melodic lines. I'm talking about the structure of the song, the feel of the song, the direction of the song. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the composition and the arranging. That's what I'm just talking about here. When I say it is a fairly simple song, one of the simplest songs I've heard by Aldious' own standards, okay? It's one of the simplest songs I've heard from them. Now, here's the thing about that, and this is where we're going to have a little bit of a discussion here. It's funny how the simpler songs are more inclined to have something that I like to call anthemic themes and anthemic feels. This song, while a little on the simpler side by Aldious' own standards, had all the things I look for when I'm talking about looking for a song that has that anthemic feel. It has that anthemic sound. It has that anthemic theme, that call to arms, the kind of thing that makes you want to, pick up your spear, pick up your sword and shield, and march off to war. It has that inspirational feel, that motivational feel in the chordal progression and in the melodic and harmonic lines. It absolutely does. And this song has that in spades. And it's funny because if we're talking about a song with complexity versus that has no anthemic feels whatsoever, versus a song that's simpler, simpler written, easier to play, but has those anthemic feels, on a personal level, I will tend to lean toward those simpler songs with those anthemic feels. I'll give you a couple of examples of what I'm talking about. One of my favorite bands, Kiss, right? Okay. Now, they have some songs that are a little more complicated than the rest of their repertoire. Let's look at the song Detroit Rock City, for example. Probably one of the most complicated songs that Kiss has ever written. And it really comes down to having that shuffle feel happening in the drums against a straight feel happening in the guitar and bass. At all times, that shuffle feel is going in the drums. While there is a number of places in the song where guitar and bass and vocals are being done very straight-laced, very straight and on the beat. And it's a lot more complicated than it sounds, believe it or not. This song, probably one of the hardest Kiss songs to actually play. Now, would I say Detroit Rock City is anthemic? No, I would not. There's really nothing about that song that screams anthem. There's nothing about that song that screams anthemic. On the flip side, you look at a song like Rock and Roll All Night or Shout It Out Loud that are very anthemic and very simple to play. If I'm being honest, the hardest thing about Rock and Roll All Night is the bass line, because there's a little bit of a walking bass line in the verses. That's on all it is a descending scale. It's really not that tough. It's not that hard. It's actually very simple to do. While the guitars literally are sustaining chords. Chord. Chord. There's nothing hard about that. But at the same time, Rock and Roll All Night and Shout It Out Loud have very anthemic feels. And that's why people have a tendency, myself included, to lean more toward wanting to listen to those songs as opposed to wanting to listen to Detroit Rock City, okay? I'll give you another example. The band Dragon Force, okay? Two of their probably best known songs. Obviously, Through the Fire and Flames, everybody knows that song. Everybody's heard that song, right? They have another song that is also pretty popular. It's pretty high ranking on their like on Spotify and Apple, on iTunes and Amazon Music. Another very highly downloaded song is called Fury of the Storm. Now, if you look at those two songs, which one of those two songs is more complicated? Which one of those songs is more impressively written? Through the Fire and Flame, right? Obviously. It's far more difficult to play. It's far more intricate as far as movement within the chordal progressions and within the solo work and within the melodic and counter melodic and harmonic lines. The drum patterns, the rhythmic patterns, the subdivision work, it's far more intricate, far more difficult. On the flip side, though, and I know this might be a hot take for some people, but I'm going to say it anyway. Between those two songs, I personally prefer to listen to Fury of the Storm. Why? Because while it may not be as impressive or as difficult as Through the Fire and the Flames, you know what it has that Through the Fire and Flames does not have? Anthemic feels, anthemic themes, those call to arm feels. Through the Fire and the Flames has it way more, has it way less than Fury of the Storm does. Fury of the Storm will make you, again, want to pick up your sword and shield, pick up your spear, pick up your hammer, pick up whatever, and march off to war. Where Through the Fire and the Flames really doesn't have it that much. So, again, simpler song, but with the anthemic feels. Now, the same thing is happening with this song, with Yozakura. It's a little simpler. It's a little easier to follow. By Aldious' own standards, it's one of the easiest songs I've heard from them from a chordal progression standpoint. But at the same time, it has those anthemic feels. And it has those inspirational feels. The chordal progression just absolutely gives you that feeling of empowerment and really just motivates you to want to get up and get to work or do something. You know what I mean? It's a great feel. It's a great feel song. For a live situation, for the purpose of live play, this is a great song for a live performance. Absolutely. This is the kind of song that's going to lead to a lot of opportunities about the next thing we're going to talk about. Okay, we're going to get to that in just a second. If I'm being honest, the songwriting, I think it's really good. I think it's absolutely solid. It absolutely checks off all the boxes that I look for in an Aldious song. The musicianship, like I've already talked about, was top-notch across the board. I expect that from them, so expectations were met. Not exceeded, but met, okay? I would give the songwriting, if I'm being honest, around a 7.7, 7.8, somewhere there. I'm really kind of leaning more towards 7.7 if I'm being honest. I think that's a fair assessment for the songwriting. But I'm giving this an 8.5. How did that happen? Remember what I talked about earlier? I said we were going to talk about the next thing. Here we go. If you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you already know what I'm going to say. So say it with me, kids.
Sing it out one time.
A live show can help your score or it can hurt your score. In this case, oh boy, did it ever help. Absolutely it helped. We went from the high sevens to the mid eights. Not the low eights, the mid eights. We're right in the middle of the eights. We jumped up a whole 0.8, almost a full point because of the live show. Now the reason the live show was so effective here goes hand in hand with the songwriting. Those anthemic feels, those feelings of empowerment, those feelings of encouragement, those uplifting, empowering feels that happen in the song, they go hand in hand for a live show. And a band that knows how to capitalize on an anthemic song can really apply their live show to capitalize on those anthemic feels. And boy, Aldious nailed it with their live performances. Just Real quick, let's go down the checklist. Stage presence, check. Yeah, absolutely. They got the stage presence, no problem. Stage energy, check. There was quite a bit of movement and motion. Guitar players switching places around. I saw the basses come up to the front. We're going to get to all that in a second. Trust me. But yeah, stage energy was checked. Stage interaction, again, a check. We're going to get back to that, but I promise you it was checked. Crowd interaction, yeah, big check. Again, we're going to get back to it. I promise I'm going somewhere with this, guys. I promise you I am. Showmanship, again, big check. Again, we're going to get back to it. Trust me, we're going somewhere with this. Production, lighting, I guess the lighting looked like it was kind of designed. The lights did go off at the end, but that might have just been behind the board. I can't really tell. I can't really tell one way or another with production, but that's okay. Production's bonus points. You know, it's always been bonus points. Unless you are a production-based band, at which point your production better be on point, because you're not going to get it from anything else, except maybe stage presence. But if you're going to rely completely on your production to carry your live show, then your production better be amazing. Okay, I said I was going to get back to this, okay? I said I was going to get back to those things, right? I thought I was going to get back to, stage interaction, crowd interaction, show. I was going to get back to those things, right? Remember when I paused and I said, remember that shot and remember the next 10 to 15 seconds. I said, remember that, right? Okay. In those 10 to 15 seconds, they covered everything and then some. Now, here's the funny thing. The stage presence and the stage energy were already covered. Stage interaction, crowd interaction, and showmanship had also already been checked, okay? Before we got to that section, we're going to call that section the breakdown section, okay? Now, before we got to the breakdown section, we had already had all 5 main checkboxes checked, okay? So when we got to the breakdown section, that entire breakdown section served 2 purposes. 1, sharpening the saw. We just kept on sharpening the saw on all, well, technically, if you really want to get into it, all 5 of the main checkboxes just kept getting rechecked and rechecked and rechecked and rechecked, sharpening the saw on all 5 of the checkboxes. The other thing it did was it capitalized on those anthemic themes. It got all 4 band members that can move, not the drummer, obviously. The drummer's gotta stay back there. She's a slave to her instrument. But everybody else that is capable of coming up to the front, what did they all do? They all came up to the front. They all stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder. What does that show? Unity, going hand in hand with those anthemic themes, with those empowering themes, those uplifting themes. We are all coming together. We are all unified, capitalizing on those anthemic themes with a visual presentation that meshes with those themes perfectly. Not just with the themes themselves, but with the ideals of the themes. So it goes hand in hand. You would be amazed how many bands write an anthemic song with anthemic themes, and it sounds great, and it's got those uplifting, feel-good feels, and when they come out and they play live, they do not capitalize on it, and they will literally just stay on their own sides of the stages. Now, they'll do everything right. They'll create the energy. They'll interact with the crowd. The only thing they don't really do is interact with each other because they're so far apart from each other. But, they're doing everything right, but they're just not maximizing the output. Unlike Aldious and a few other bands that I've seen that have had those anthemic feels, when they do come together, they do show that strong, unified front to go hand in hand with those anthemic feels. Boy, that is a moment when that happens. It makes the hairs on your arms and on the back of your neck stand up. It gives you goosebumps. I'm going to tell you straight up, folks, it gave me goosebumps when I saw them all together, all interacting with the crowd, interacting with each other, side by side, showing a strong, unified front while capitalizing on those anthemic themes and anthemic feels in the music.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Simple? Yes, absolutely it's simple. But man, when it's done right and it's applied, not just in the music, but in the live show as well, and all the check boxes are checked and everything is clicking and we're all on the same page, it just can't be touched. It cannot be touched. And I have a feeling they know it, because that was no accident. That was no accident. That was absolutely planned. The bassist has been back there by the drummer the entire song. But when it came to the breakdown section, where did she go? She came up to the front, right next to the guitar player. And what was she doing? Interacting with the crowd, interacting with the guitar player. Lead vocalist interacting with both guitar players, one on each side. Guitar player in the middle, interacting with the bassist and with the vocalist. Guitar player on the end, interacting with the vocalist, and everybody interacting with the crowd. It's exactly what I look for in a live show. And I'm not talking about expecting, and I love when people say this, well, what do you expect? People to be doing cartwheels and backflips and jumping through flaming hoops? And still, to this day, my absolute personal favorite, being shot out of a cannon? No. Did we see any of that happening on this stage? No, we did not. You know what we did see? We saw some great planning, we saw some great blocking, and we saw all 5 check boxes being resharpened over and over again during that entire 2-minute long breakdown section, where musically we even brought it down to a halftime feel, which I absolutely loved, by the way. I loved the fact that they brought down that halftime feel to give it that extra heavy feeling. It worked. It just, everything was clicking just outstandingly. So this is how we came up from, like I said, about a 7.7 for the songwriting, all the way up to an 8.5. That 8.5 is absolutely deserved for this live performance. I feel good about that score, and that's where we're going to stay. So let's wrap everything up here in a nice shiny bow, shall we? We have an 8.5, which is a great scale rating, 4 to 5 stars, and an A- letter grade. Take your pick, I don't care, whichever one of those floats your boat. Final word, final score, I've spoken. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Hope I was able to entertain you. If I was able to put a smile on your face and brighten your day, I did my job, and I'm so glad I could do it. If you guys feel like joining the fan base, go ahead and click on that button down there. If you guys want to like the video, go ahead and like the video. If you guys want to ring the bell, go ahead and ring the bell. It honestly doesn't make any difference at all to me, but if you guys feel like doing these things, well then by all means, feel free to do so. Well, that's going to do it for the night, folks. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, this is David Heretic signing off, reminding you to stay fabulous and support each other. Later. Peace.